This car spent about a year with Moth Ajari getting some vinyl wrapping done, and I'm really happy with the vinyl wrapping work on this car, and I'll have to show that to you in detail later. But it also came back to me with tons of mechanical issues that he was supposed to address and didn't, even though he said he had. And also it came back with mechanical issues that were new. And I've tried to contact him. He's fallen off the face of the earth. His business is gone. It's dissolved. Black Ops Auto Pro. He's just turned out to be a young man who overpromised and could not deliver, all except for the vinyl wrap, which I'm happy with. But anyway, he kind of left me with a mechanical mess, and so I've been addressing that, and this is part of it. So this car sat in his shop for a year, and I think what was going on was that it was being started, you know, for about 20 seconds, moved to one spot, stopped, and then it would sit, and then it would be started for another 20 seconds, moved, stopped, you know, and that went on for about a year. So when the car was delivered back to me, the engine was running really badly. And the symptoms of the running was it had this random, almost missing in the engine. It wasn't confined to one particular cylinder. And so the first thing I did was pull all the spark plugs and noticed that they were all gummed up and black with soot and oily and just reeked of gasoline. So I cleaned them up really good, regapped them, put them back in, and the car started idling just very nicely. And then I started doing that all over again. And so I decided, okay, I needed to open this thing up and really investigate. So first thing I did was adjust the valves on it. And so all the valves are properly adjusted. And now I'm pulling, and I've pulled all the fuel injectors. And that's what we're getting ready to look at now. Welcome to Ken's Show and Tell. The date is April 14th, 2024. And I'm putting this really nice 1971 280 SE W108 sedan back together. I've done the brakes on it completely, calipers, discs. Right now I'm kind of elbow deep into this part of the engine right here. I've adjusted the valves, and now what I'm doing is I'm pulling the fuel injectors out and cleaning them, and going to be checking them for proper functioning. I don't know if these are original fuel injectors themselves, mechanical fuel injectors, or what. They've been kind of difficult to get out, and I just kind of wanted to show you my learning process here, because this is something I have never done before. So here's an injector that I've pulled out. I've cleaned the outside, and then I'm going to let it soak with a carburetor cleaner on the inside. Here's a washer, and here's one that I just pulled out that I haven't cleaned the outside. It's pretty nasty looking, kind of carboned up. And the reason I'm pulling these fuel injectors is because I'm having trouble with some rough running. So they are clean on the outside. Let's put some carb cleaner inside there and let them soak while I get the others, and I'll just pull each one out and clean it like that, and then we'll go over there and put them on the tester. Okay, I've already filled them up. I was just topping them off. You can see they're not leaking, so that's good. That's one thing I wanted to see, if these injectors were closing all the way. They are. They're not leaking. So let's go and pull the others out. I know this method is probably not the mechanic's choice, but it works for me, given the tools that I have. So let's see, first thing, this is what I've done. So I can get a purchase on that 19mm nut. I just kind of wedge up in there if I can. Okay, wedge up right there. And then let's try this method. Okay, I think it's cracked loose. Or it could be the bottom where it's moving. Let's see. There. It has cracked loose. There we go. Alright. Being very careful not to round off any corners or anything like that. But you do what you have to do, especially when there isn't anybody most likely within 100 miles of here knows what in the world I'm doing or how to do it. So like a lot of you people, necessity truly is the mother of invention, and you learn to teach yourself. Okay, here's the line. Alright, very good. Now we'll get that injector out. This is done in a less cringe-worthy fashion, I hope, especially for you professionals out there. Okay. Okay, there it is. Yes. Okay. It's kind of rusty. Everything is just, I mean, I don't know if this has ever been done to this car. Yeah, see, it has fuel in it, of course, which is good. And we'll take it over and clean it. I'm going to clean this up here next. Little carburetor cleaner. It just makes sense to me to clean the surface up, the mating surfaces. There you go. Well, I've got 1, 2, 3 out. And 4, 5, 6, 3 more to go. So that's what that process looks like. And we'll go over there and clean. We'll just go ahead and continue cleaning the plugs and, I mean, the injectors, and go at it. 6 of them out of the car. And their little washers, everything cleaned up. Let's put a little more carburetor cleaner in here. And I'm going to stop and just let these things soak overnight. And pick up again tomorrow. So this is what I decided to do with the injectors, and they've been kind of soaking for 2 days and 2 nights. And what I did was I poured this liquid moly fuel injection cleaner into this empty can, and I put all of the injectors in there, and they've been soaking. So let's go ahead and get them out of there and give them some testing. Good. All right. There's all of them. Nobody got lost in there. All right. And now we're going to put them on the tester and see if they spray properly and see if they pop at the proper. Oh, look how clean that is. Can you see that? It was really rusty. Okay, let's see if they function now. This injector is popping at the right pressure, about 250, but it's not spraying per se. If you can see, it's just coming out in a stream there on the end. It's not a nice fine spray. It's bouncing off that cup, that diffuser it's called. So that's not functioning right. So I probably need to try to clean that some more. Just kind of. Now when I do it hard, it's spraying a little better. And of course the test fluid I'm using is an 80% mixture of diesel, 20% of automatic transmission fluid. It's just not what I would consider a fine atomized spray. Just kind of, all right. This is how this looks compared to the others. That was just the first one. Second one we're going to be testing. We're starting off at 0. Pump it up slowly. Right now we're just pumping air, and there we go. Okay. That's another one that's not spraying right. Can you see it? It's not a spray per se, as it is a squirt. I will try to clean this one as well. Could be why it's been running so rich and gumming up the spark plugs. Alright, let's release the pressure on this. And this is a nice little setup I got from Mercedes Source. Okay, let's just undo all this. Here's the third. I know these mechanical fuel injectors are still available, but given their price, $120 a piece for the Bosch, and twice that for the genuine Mercedes, these are worth trying to clean up, those two. So let's just see what this does. Okay, building pressure. All right, I can feel it. Now that is better. Well, no, the first one was good, but it's just not. Yeah, I think it's a, I don't think that's right. That's better. It's certainly better than the other two. All right, well, let's just disconnect this one, set it aside too, let the pressure down. All right. Good tight fit. Okay. Okay, keep our fingers crossed here. You know, it's building up. Whoop, well, that's a nice pop. No, it's squirting, but it's not a fine mist. No, that's, nope. So it could just need to be cleaned like the other, so we'll just have to see. I understand if you're going to use this for diesel injectors, you need a different gauge because these things pop at 250 or open up at 250 psi, and diesel is 2500 and higher. So this one is probably not the best of them, but it's still not a nice spray. It's still a stream. It's a better spray than the others, but you can see it's got individual streams instead of a nice fine atomized sort of thing. And by the way, I've got this breather hose here going out a hole in my barn wall there to the outside. All right, that was a recommendation, keeping you having to wear breather stuff. I guess I'm supposed to be wearing gloves too, but I just never work with them. Just wash my hands. It's not like I'm immersed in the thing. All right. Interesting thing about this to me is that when with most of these, with the very first pop, there's a fine spray, and then it just degenerated to this dribble. So that's no good because it's supposed to be a fine spray the whole time, but this isn't doing it. So I'm going to change out this fluid and go back to this fuel injection stuff and kind of try to force it through and see if that doesn't help. Now, the fluid is still pink because it still was contaminated by a little bit inside this pump, but I did pump it all out as best I could, and then added the fuel injector, concentrated fuel injector cleaner in here. And of course it's stained pink with the leftover transmission fluid and diesel fluid. And I've pumped it a few times, and watch, it is significantly better doing it like that. And the more I pump it, there, you see, the better it's getting. Hear that? Oh, that's how it's supposed to be. It's gotta be. Yeah. So that one's been saved. By doing it, I thought I'd have to try to back flush them. Look at that. And you can hear it coming through there. Oh, that is just lovely. And look at the force. I can sit there and do this all day long. But I know you don't want to watch it all day long. So let me just kind of keep doing this for a while, and I'll go through each one. We'll see what it looks like. Okay, here's the second injector. Pump it up to releasing pressure. Okay, it's getting ready to go up there. You can see. One more pump. All right. I can see it's better. Not like that other one. No. Oh, I want to try to get that squeak. There we go. Just have to keep doing it. And now it's nice and wow, look at that. You saw it, folks. Well, so far I've saved these 3 injectors. Yet to test those 2 and this one up here. Just saving these 3 is more than paid for this setup that I got. So let's see from scratch just to see how this thing does. Okay, it's starting off with a decent spray, but it's not what I want. Let's just see if we can't keep doing it. There it is. There's the chirp. And that chirp means it's making a spray. Isn't that something? Here's another one saved. But this is another aspect of this I want to show you. And watch. Watch it hold pressure. That's an important thing that these injectors must do. They must open and create a fine spray for combustion, but they also must hold pressure decently, waiting for the next one, next impulse. Let me show you something else. Look how clean and shiny that tip is. That was accomplished with the cleaning I just did, as well as using this tool here that was included in the kit. All these have been saved. We use carburetor cleaner on this, and I'll demonstrate. What you do is just kind of right there, right in like so, and then you dig out carbon and combustible byproducts in there. I do not know how old these injectors are, but that works out pretty good. But you can see what you do, you just go in there and you just dig that stuff out. This one's already done. This one wouldn't hurt. And it's made out of brass. This little tool that comes with the kit. So the brass is softer than all this steel. Not going to scratch it or anything. You saw them functioning correctly on the tester machine over there, tester instrument. So what I'm doing is just tidying up. There's some gunk right there. Get down in there and get that, because that's going to interfere, could potentially interfere with this thing opening as well as closing back. And see, you can also go right in between that and go around it. Try to get that seal. Oh yeah, see, it looks better already. Another one wouldn't hurt. Do that. When I bought this tool back in 2019, I thought I was going to be doing something like this at some point. For 188 bucks, I thought it was a very good deal. I know they're a little bit more now, but the issue is with Bosch injectors being $120 a piece, new ones, this device has more than paid for itself. And forget about any place around here. I live in a very rural area, very small town, Stanton, and nobody knows anything about these things. The closest Mercedes dealer is in Charlottesville, which is about 75 miles away, and they wouldn't know anything about this either. So, like a lot of us, I'm out here teaching myself. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this, so looks all right. Now, I believe these things are ready to go back in the car. But I'm going to clean up my tool first. Valves are adjusted. Cam oiler tube has been taken off and cleaned. All the little orifices are working fine. The fuel injectors, each one has been tested and cleaned, and they're all functioning properly on the tester. Here is the valve cover. There's one side. Here's the other side. Here's the old gasket. Came off of it, and here's a new gasket right here in this bag. made in Germany, Das Original. And so now what I'm going to do is clean this. Let's go do that before we put it back on the car. We're going to be using a product which is oxalic acid, otherwise known as wood bleach, on this aluminum cover. And the idea is not to burnish it all bright and shiny and chrome looking like I've seen on some cars, which in my opinion looks kind of stupid. We're just going to get it back to the factory appearance and make it look a little nicer. So we're going to dissolve 1 tablespoonful of this inside of a spray bottle of warm water and use a Scotch pad and clean it up. So let's go
mixed
do
up
that now.
Oxalic acid, 1 tablespoonful inside this container. Let's just see how we're going to do this here. I've never done this before. I've just seen John Wright do it and saw his results. I sure liked it. Here we go. And he said just kind of spray it on here like this. Let it sit for a little bit. Oh boy, I can smell it. So you need to do it in a well ventilated area. Okay. And then just wait just a few minutes. Oh yeah, it's already starting to come off. Let me turn it over like this. Work on the side, make it easier. Oh yeah. Okay, so we'll just keep scrubbing. Okay, so you can see it's very clean looking and not stupid in terms of being bright and shiny in your face and chrome plated that I've seen some, overly polished. It just looks like it's used and well maintained now. Okay, we'll take it down to the auto house and dry it off. Here it is, all wiped clean, wiped dry. Cleaned up, wiped off the underside too. A little bit of old silicone on here that someone put on to hold that gasket in place. But you can see I've got the inside dry. Some old oil leaking down right here. All right, so we're ready to put the gasket on and then kind of weave it onto the car, so to speak. Here's the label for the bag, the valve cover gasket. It says E-L-R-I-N-G, L-ring, Das Original, the original. Beautiful gasket. It's fitting very nicely. I don't know why people tend to use silicone on these. Doesn't seem to be needed. It wants to just go on these edges really nicely. See, I can tell this one here is old because it's got some overspray on it. It's old silver paint. So it's a good idea to replace these things every time you adjust your valves anyway, assuming it's been a few years. Not expensive, easy to get.
Oh yeah, it's on there good. A little insurance here. It's on there. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and do this. There we go. Falls right in place. The gasket is still in place. Look how well that thing seats. Okay. Let's go find our 3 little bolts there. Now let's put on our 3 13mm bolts with new crush washers. Let's just kind of get them in there. Started by hand first. There you go. Everything lines up very nice. All right, they're not cross-threaded. Make sure this is not pinching anything, any wires or pipes or anything like that. And looks okay. My torque wrench only goes down to 10 pounds. Now this is supposed to be 7 pounds. So I know that it isn't very tight at all. So I just have to kind of feel of it. Like that. Get them all kind of at least feeling the same. There we go. Okay. Put this oil cap back on. I don't need that hole as a handle anymore to hold it back on. So now, you know, while we have all this apparatus off for all the linkages and everything for the accelerator, this might be a good time to go and rehook the spark plugs back up. Yep, let's go ahead and do that. Therefore, in the process of hooking back up the spark plugs, you need to replace this spark plug tower, or at least the wire holding tower, by taking out those bolts and putting that back in. So go ahead and do that now. Wire holding bracket is in place. Now we'll just reconnect the spark plugs in the appropriate order. See, and I have all my plugs numbered already with a numbering kit, which is nice to have. And if you don't have a numbering kit, just use masking tape and a magic marker for temporary identification. Let's go ahead and just put all these back in. Next thing that I've done is to reconnect all the accelerator linkage holders here, this crossbar that goes across, and you have these 2 little nuts here with their corresponding wave washers that go here. I have yet to tighten that. That's just finger tight because I just want to make sure everything lines up. And then over here, beautifully shaped little beveled nuts that fit right in there. There's one there and one over here, and just go right in here like that. They're beautifully machined, beautifully shaped, just like everything on these old Mercedes. Look at that. And so we'll tighten those things down. Now we will reconnect these accelerator linkages. This is the linkage to the mechanical, beautiful, just mechanical fuel pump down there.
with the fuel rails, with the fuel lines coming off for each cylinder. Direct mechanical fuel injection. We have to reconnect that linkage, and then we'll go over here and reconnect the other linkages, warm up a device down there, and then of course down here is to your air controller. And then but we'll put a little dab of automatic transmission fluid in each of those cups as lubrication. Accelerator linkages and mechanical fuel pump linkages and everything are all hooked up and lubricated. Isn't that a beautiful mechanism? Also went ahead and lubricated the other joints, like all these different joints down here that move. And now we have to do is hook up the this vacuum booster here for the brakes. We'll go ahead and do that, hook that back, and then hook back this little breather hose. And let's snug it up with a 19 millimeter. Just had, there we go, that's good enough. Make sure everything's clearing. It is good. Now I'll go ahead and put this breather hose, crankcase breather hose back on. I sprayed it with a little Teflon little silicone lubricant here. It makes this slide on there so much better. Otherwise it is a bear. Okay, just slide that on and we're good to go. There you go. Now the next phase here is to eyeball and make sure everything is in place. Looks good, and we need to see if this engine actually starts now after everything we've done to it. We started this process because it was running very roughly, and what it was doing was, well, it was just acting like it wasn't getting fuel, but the spark plugs were fouling up, and I think the ignition was fine, the spark was fine, and discovered that, which was my suspicion all along, that the fuel injectors were not functioning properly. Now on the test bench they are, and let's just see if this engine starts. And I think we're ready to go. We can't drive it because I'm still in the midst of doing brakes on it, but let's just see what happens here.
front and back here.
Oh yeah. No missing. I see a little smoke here. Could be running a little rich. Tell you what, sounds good. Okay, well, the next phase of getting this car back on the road is to finish off the brakes. That's another video. Thank you for watching Ken's Show and Tell.